So we've talked about major scales, but there's another scale that is really useful in music. That's called the natural minor scale. Natural minor scale. And if you remember from before, we talked about how the major scale, I'll write this one over here for before, the major scale, this is review, hopefully. The major scale was simply whole, whole, half, whole, 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 and half. And so if you start on C, for example, you would have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. This is with a whole step here, a whole step here, a half step between E and F, whole step, whole step, whole step, and one more half step gets us the scale. Okay, so the same thing is with minor. For natural minor, the only natural minor scale that has no sharps and flats, like C major in the key of for the major scales, is A minor, A natural minor. And because it's minor, I usually will use lowercase letters. Okay, so we'll go ahead and write A without sharps or flats. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. And if you don't remember this formula for any other scale, it's really useful if you remember one that behaves well, and that's the one that starts on A. So if you look here, A to B is a whole step, and B to C is a natural half step. Here's the whole step, here's the here's the whole step, here's the half step, here's the whole step, and here's one more whole step. Okay, so if you look here, it's kind of a nice pattern. It's not too difficult to make this work. All you have to do is realize that it goes whole, half, whole, and stop. Whole, half, whole, and stop. And one more whole step. So the pattern would be whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, and whole. Okay, so once again, if you group this, it's a little bit easier to remember like that. Okay, and then just one at the end. Whole, half, whole, half, whole, whole. And that's your natural minor scale. Natural minor scale. Okay, let me go ahead and erase the major scale, and we'll see what this looks like on the staff here. Okay, so all we have to do to write this is simply start on A and write our notes. Okay, so we go ahead and write our treble clef. We'll start on the A here, and we simply write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and finally we need a ledger line to write A. Okay, so this is our A minor scale. This is A natural minor scale. It's called natural minor because there are other minor scales. We'll see those at a later time, but this is A natural minor. And this is the scale. It's got A. I'll write the letters here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. Forgive the uppercase versus lowercase. We're just labeling our notes here. Okay, so of course, just like any major scale, you can take any note and start on any note and make a scale. So if we put our dotted line here, we can go ahead and write another one. Let's go with D minor. And I encourage you to stop the video here, and maybe I'll give you a treble clef to work with and see if you can figure out, maybe take a screenshot, and see if you can figure out what notes go in D minor. Or, you could get some staff paper out and make your own staff. I'll go ahead and give you the first note. This is our D. This is where we will start, and you have to figure out what notes go in it. And as fair warning, D minor, as a little hint, D minor will need a sharp or a flat or two, sharp or a flat, because A natural minor is the only minor scale without a sharp or a flat, just like C major is the only major scale without a sharp or a flat. So when you figure out the notes for D minor, make sure that you have an accidental. If you don't have an accidental, like a sharp or a flat, then it's probably not correct. So here we go. D minor. We simply just follow our pattern here. So we're going to go, the easiest thing to do is to write our notes. So go ahead and write our notes. D, E, F, G. Do you just write the notes up later or first, and then later you can figure out what notes need to be altered to put the sharps and flats. Okay, so right now we got D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and D. Okay, so now we have to look at our pattern. Remember, we got whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, and whole. So this should be a whole step, whole step. I'm sorry, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step. This is the distance between the notes, and finally one more whole step. Okay, so all we have to do now is check. Let's go ahead and use maybe this purple color. We got D to E. Is this a whole step? If we remember our piano, maybe this is useful for some of you, is to draw the piano out still. That's totally fine. Use this as long as you need to. If you don't need it anymore, then you've reached a new level and you can stop there. Let's go ahead and do this. This will get us from D to D. D to D. Okay. Okay, so we have our D here that we're starting with. We have to go up a whole step. This is a whole step. This gets us to E, and this is correct, so the E is okay. This is a check mark to say the E is okay. Next, we need a half step. Half step from E to F. Is this a half step? We simply go here. We say yes, that's a half step, so that's okay. This note is fine. The interval is okay, and the note is fine. From F to G, is this a whole step? We have F to G here. Is this a whole step? Yes, it is. Check. G to A, is this a whole step? Yes, it is. A to B, is this a whole step? I'm sorry, is this a half step? We're looking for a half step. Is this a half step from A to B? The answer is no, this is a whole step. We need a half step. This is a whole step. We need a half step. How do we make it a half step? Well, all we have to do is go here instead. We have to go here. So we have to change this note. This note doesn't work anymore. We cannot go to B land. We cannot go here, but we can go here. So we call this B flat because we have to keep our note the same. It has to be a B flat. We got to throw a flat on this B right there. B goes there, or the B flat goes right there, okay? From there we continue, so from B flat, this note, to C. Is this a whole step? We're looking for a whole step. Is this a whole step? Yes, it is. We're skipping this note right there. We're skipping that B natural. So we got a whole step. This is okay. We'll put check marks. This was now a check mark, check mark. And finally, we need one more whole step. Hopefully it gets us back to D with a whole step, and the answer is, of course, yes. Okay, this gets us back to D. Gets us a whole step. So this is our scale. We have D, E, F, G, A, B flat. Let me make this a little bit better. B flat, C, and D. Okay. Go ahead and try another one. And again, you can start on any note you wish. Let's go crazy and go with F sharp. F sharp minor. F sharp natural minor. I'll label this as F sharp natural minor. I'll put nat minor, nat min for natural minor. And I'll go ahead and label our D minor over here. D nat min. D nat min. Both are okay. D natural minor. F sharp natural minor. Again, pause the video and see if you can figure it out on your own. Otherwise, I will continue a little bit faster than last time. We got our F sharp. Let me go ahead and use this color. We got F. We'll go ahead and write our notes. F sharp. G, A, B, C, D, E, and finally F. Okay, we have our notes there. And it's kind of a cheat thing you can do. A little bit of a hint here. You can take this F sharp, and you know we're starting on F sharp, so we must end on F sharp. So we can already go ahead and throw an F sharp there. It's kind of nice. Okay, so F sharp. We need a whole step, I'm sorry, a whole half whole. Let's go ahead and recite this again. Whole half whole, and a whole step. Okay. F sharp to G is not a whole step. This is a half step. So we got to make it a whole step. We can make the G go here by adding a sharp. We have to use G. We still have to say this note with a G. This is G what? G what? And the answer is G sharp. Okay. You still have to use the letter name. So this is going to be G sharp. A half step off of G sharp gets us to A. Sorry about the mess here, but hopefully the other color is going to be useful. Otherwise, I'll start making a new one here in a second. G sharp to A is a half step, so that's fine. We got an A here. A plus a whole step will give us B. That's okay. If you can do this without the piano keyboard, that's really impressive and really useful for this exercise. B plus a whole step is C sharp, plus a whole step is C sharp from B. Okay, so we need that C sharp there. And you got your half step here. C sharp plus a half step is D. D plus a whole step is E. And E plus one more whole step is an F sharp. Gets us back to where we started. Okay, so our notes are F, G sharp. Oh, look at that. That's supposed to be lowercase, but it's easier if I just make them all uppercase. Okay, just naming notes anyway. F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, and F sharp makes our F sharp natural minor scale. Okay, so that's how you make any natural minor scale. You can start on any note you wish, any of these notes. It doesn't really matter, anything you want, and make this, okay? There's one more thing to note. I think I mentioned this before, but in case you missed it, or in case I didn't say it, with your with your major scale, with the major scale, we have whole, whole, half, whole, half, which is another way to say 2 half steps, 1 half step, 2, 2, 2, 1. If you add 2 plus 2 plus 1, if you put little addition signs here, 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 12. And that's because from one note for this D, for example, from this D to D here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 half steps. That gets us all of our entire scale there. If you take the minor scale, the natural minor scale, as we see, natural minor scale, and you write out the same thing, you got whole, remember our other pattern is whole, half, whole, repeat, whole, half, whole, and whole, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. If you add all of this together, you have the same number of 2's and the same number of 1's, this equals 12. The reason it's 12 for a scale is because it gets you back to where you start. Every scale, generally, unless you make some really strange rules and alterations, usually will end and start and end on the same note. Just this would be E to E, for example. Usually that's how you make a scale. Okay, so that's how you make natural minor scales, and something different from a major scale. Major scales are good and super useful. Natural minor is very common and also very useful.